Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm going to give you some instruction on what you're going to do today. And if you remember, you were in the middle of working on your profile writing. But before that, I want to talk to you about a policy change that we're going to do concerning late work. So if you go ahead and open up your ELA class, I put a note here at the very beginning. And the reason I'm changing the late work policy is because the first quarter I just took everything at any time, no penalties at all. And although I think that was a really good idea as we were adjusting to this learning environment, I'm going to step up my expectations for you to get things done more on time. And the biggest reason is that I noticed a huge number of people who were procrastinators, and I totally understand that. But it was really easy to get behind on work, and then all of a sudden it piled up, and then all of a sudden it was overwhelming. The other reason is it's better to do the work on time because then you're current with the learning and the instruction makes sense. The engagement of the learning that you do makes more sense. So I've kind of changed my policy to encourage you more to stay up to date on your work. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the note. It says, starting Monday, November 30th, that's today, late work will only be accepted 1 week after the due date. I'm not accepting it later than 1 week. I'm noticing accepting it later than 1 week does not deter many students from getting behind, and it is difficult to catch up. Also, late work must be submitted through this form in order for it to be accepted. This will take the place of emailing me. I will try to get to it earlier, but I will check the Google form each Wednesday. I think I'd mentioned when people email me to tell me about late work, it's a lot of clicking to get to it. And then you have to tell me exactly what it is. So I've created this form because I think it's going to be a lot easier on my end to get the late work. So if you open it, it's just going to ask for your first and last name, what hour you have class. That helps me with my record keeping, today's date, and then the question is, when was the assignment due? Because the big clincher is if it's more than 1 week, then you can't turn it in. If it's within that week, and if there is a circumstance that you were super ill or something like that, just please talk to me and let me know. But the general rule is going to be, it has to be within a week. Then the question is, was this assignment due less than 1 week ago? If not, it's too late. And then you do the next. And then it's also going to ask you to link your document there if you can. Now, if it's like a Schoology quiz, you can't. But if it's a Google Doc, like your profile steps for working or your profile template, those could be linked. And so that's going to be the part that saves me a lot of clicking. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Hopefully you won't even need it because you're going to do your work on time. This is this week. And before I do that, I just want you to notice, for those of you that might have some late work or be absent for some reason, on the outside of the folder, I'm putting the items or the assignments that are going to be inside the folders. It's not full instructions. I'm expecting you to watch the videos if for some reason you can't make the Google Meet, but it at least helps you know where the assignments are. So if you go ahead and open it, you can only see Monday, but I want you to also notice that your profile steps for working that you were working on before Thanksgiving and also the template, I've moved them here so that way you don't have to go into the other folders to get them. And also all of those examples that I had, including my examples, are in here. So there's my teacher example first draft. And I'm actually going to go ahead and open those because we're going to talk about them today. And then my teacher example revised draft is in here. So I have those handy. But you are going to start by doing a self-edit. And now that you've had some time in between when you actually wrote your paper and now, it's really nice because you can get a fresh look on it. And I tried to guide you step by step in those, that other assignment. You might actually need to go back to that if necessary. But if you open today, what you're going to see is this profile self-edit Google form. This is really kind of a check for you to figure out what are the things that you're going to need to change. What you need to do is get out a piece of paper and a pencil or pen because this is going to make you make a list of the things that you're going to want to go back to. So if you open it, You're going to need to have this open and your rough draft that you've done. Now I've kind of already worked through mine, so I wrote myself some notes here of things that I'm going to want to go back to, but you're going to want to read it and have it open while you're filling out this form. So it says, as you answer each question, make a list of the things you need to go back to edit. So I'd recommend starting by rereading your rough draft to just get it fresh in your mind since you haven't looked at it for a while. Then you're going to put your first name, your last name, make sure to capitalize them because they're proper nouns. Tell me what hour you are. Then the question is, did you replace the text on the assignment template with the person's name as the title, your name as the author, and include a picture? What I'm talking about on that is I had title up here and I had said by, and maybe it's an author, then I had put a picture here. I don't want to see that anymore. I wanted you to replace that. And then if you remember on your form, I told you how to do that wrap text so that you could wrap the text around your picture. And just as a quick reminder, if you click on that, you can, it's these buttons down here. So I have it right, but go to watch that video if you need to. So then the question is, then you say, yes, I did it. Or if no, then you need to put it on the list that you've set up. Next question, did you write 4 clear paragraphs? 1 introduction paragraph, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. That should be very clear without even reading it. And so the answers are yes, each one has its own purpose because each paragraph has a topic. Or I have all 4 parts, but they aren't clearly separated. I'll put that on my list. And yikes, oh my gosh, I didn't follow that. Go back to your pre-writing on step 5 and start again. So you did a graphic organizer. So when you look at yours, you should be able to say the introduction that kind of gets us to know who you're talking about and a little bit of background. You're not talking about your admirable characteristics yet here. It's just an introduction. Then you have to transition into your first paragraph that talks about your first admirable characteristics, such as optimistic. So you can see I have that in there. And then you're going to have 4 or 5 sentences explaining, showing how that person is optimistic. And so that's what that's asking about. The next paragraph is going to be the next admirable characteristic, and it should be clear in there. I personally don't think mine's very clear in there. And then the rest of it is going to be a way to show how that person is that characteristic. And then the last one's supposed to be your concluding paragraph, and you can see mine's terrible, so that's going to have to be on my list. So then did you come up with a creative hook in the introduction? A hook is supposed to grab your reader's attention and be on topic. And those mentor texts have a whole bunch of ideas. I want you to go back and just read the hooks or just read the introductions and see if one would kind of like, ooh, I could do that in my own version. And so either no, look at the examples, or yes, and you're going to have to copy and paste it onto your next question. Now mine is here, and I have one. I don't like it though. And so I might just say no because I know that I want to change that. But everybody else will copy and paste it here. And I should see something that doesn't say, I'm going to talk about my sister Jan. It has to be something to grab your reader's attention. Next, does your intro have 3 to 4 sentences informing us who you're writing about? Give a little background without getting into your main ideas, which is your main admirable characteristics, and preview your ideas. Yes, I'm proud of my intro, sort of. No. Next is, does your first body paragraph state the first admirable characteristic in the first sentence? Yes, it's clear, and a complete sentence. It's clear, but yes, but it isn't clear, or you need to fix that. Does your first body paragraph have 3 to 5 sentences showing how the person fits the first admirable characteristic with details and examples? You can't just say she's optimistic because she always thinks positively, and you wouldn't believe how optimistic she is. She's the most optimistic person. You have to show and give me an example of that. And then does your same questions for the second body paragraph. Do you say that characteristic in the first sentence? Do you have 3 to 5 sentences that show that? And then does your conclusion review the main ideas and bring the writing to a close using 3 to 4 sentences? Mine is no. Mine's terrible. I have to do that one over. And then have you read your own writing aloud or out loud to find your own errors? There's something about reading it aloud that short circuits your brain from reading through mistakes. I read through my mistakes all the time, especially if I'm reading in my head. But if you actually say it out loud, you will notice way more than otherwise. And then you're going to submit it, and that is going to be your homework. But then the first part of your homework, the second part is go back to that to-do list and start making some changes. Tomorrow, you're going to be having an adult editor at home. So it's going to be really important that you have it looking in top shape for the adult editor, and then you're going to do another round of revising. Good luck. I'll be available email if you need me, and I will talk to you tomorrow.